And then really root down into the sits bones. Draw the shoulders up and back just to create some space in the front of the body. And flip the palms up. And then gently close the eyes. Begin to tune into the physical body. Tune into the breath as it comes in and out of the nose. And then keep your natural inhales and exhales. Just bring your attention to your heart space. Noticing what it feels like as the breath passes in and out of the body. Does it fill that heart space or bypass it? Does it cause tension or ease? And over the next couple of breaths, begin to shape the breath as it comes in the body, really sending it to that heart space. Fill up the heart space. And then gently exhale it out. Take a few more breaths that way, really filling up the heart space. Noticing what it feels like to be expansive and open. And if you like the feeling of filling up that heart space, then your next few breaths can remain focused on the heart. Or you can return to your natural inhale and exhale, just letting the breath go where it will. Today's practice will be focused on staying open to possibility. Staying open to love and hope. And bringing those feelings in by opening both the front of the heart and the back. Knowing that we can welcome in opportunity from any direction. And even from unexpected places. So if you haven't already, return to your natural inhale and exhale. Noticing if the quality of the breath or the pace has changed since you first sat down on your mat. And then you can begin to flutter the eyes open or keep them closed. We'll stay in this seated position. And send the fingertips around and behind you. So the fingertips face toward the back of your mat. You can press into those fingertips as you open the chest. Gaze can gently go up as the shoulder blades gently draw together. Take a full round of breath here. And on your next exhale, you'll sweep the fingertips around in front of you, gently doming the upper spine. Gaze down toward your mat. Take a full breath here. And then on the next inhale, once again, sweeping those arms out and back, drawing the shoulder blades together and taking a deep breath. On your next exhale, dragging the fingertips forward, gently doming the spine. So not really finding a forward fold, really just focusing on opening up the back of the heart. And then on the next inhale, fingertips come behind, chest shines forward. Take a few more rounds of this, making sure to spend at least a full round of breath in each position. And then moving with the breath when you're ready to move. The next time the fingertips come forward and the spine is domed, stay there. And then press into the fingertips a little bit more as you inhale, really breathe into the back side of the body. Noticing what it feels like to be open through the shoulder blades, sending the breath there for just a little bit more space. Take another round of breath here, inhaling into the back of the body, and then exhaling it out. You can sweep the fingertips just to the side as you rise up, straight spine. From here, switch the cross of the legs if you're in a cross-legged position, evening out the body a little bit. And then inhale the arms up and overhead, palms come to touch. And exhale, bring the hands through heart center, twist through the core over to the right. So keep the hands at the heart center and just twist over toward the right side of your mat. And then come back through center. Arms come up overhead, gaze can follow. Sweep the arms down by the side. Then sweep the arms up and overhead. Palms come to touch. Release the hands through heart center and twist over toward the left. It doesn't have to be your deepest twist ever, just noticing maybe the connection of the thumb on the breastbone and the twist through the core. And then come back through center. Release the arms up overhead, palms stay touching. So maybe bring the upper arms in toward your ears, sitting up nice and tall. And then slowly release the arms out to the side, palms face up. And then bring them back together overhead, palms touch. So imagining sort of this opening umbrella shape, and then open them back up. One more time, arms come up overhead, palms touch. Relax the shoulders away from the ears, and then open up your umbrella. Really reaching out of the fingertips, palms are still facing up. And from here, we'll take the inner edge, the pinky edge of the fingers to meet out in front. And then draw them open out to your open umbrella, and then maybe a little bit further back, bringing the shoulder blades slightly together. Two more times, bring the pinkies together, out in front of you, staying nice and strong through the arms, and then open it back up. And then last time, pinkies together, and open it back up. And then bring it back out to the side, and you can release the fingertips down to the ground once more. Sit up nice and tall. And then just send the gaze over toward the left. Drop the chin down toward the chest. And then gaze goes over the right shoulder. Just take a few of these half circles to open up through the upper back, through the neck. And the next time your chin comes back toward the center, take a full deep breath with the chin drop toward the chest, and then gently rise back up. From here, come into a tabletop pose. Take a couple rounds of cat-cow. So inhale to drop the belly, lift the gaze, and exhale to round the spine, drop the crown of the head. Take 2 more rounds of this. There is a spider here. Okay. Inhale to drop the belly, lift the gaze, and exhale to round the spine, drop the crown of the head. Come back to center, press into the palms, just feel that opening across the chest and also across the shoulder blades, across the upper back. Send the right leg long behind you, really flex through the toes here. Feel the hips as they point down toward the mat. And then I'll show you on the other side. As you open up the hips, plant the sole of the right foot down onto the mat. Raise that right arm up and out to the side. So finding this side plank pose here, supported plank. And if you need a little more support, you can send that bottom foot back. It doesn't have to be pointed toward the bottom of your mat. It can be pointed toward the long side. Open up through the heart. And then from here, we'll take 5 side crunches. So bring the elbow and knee to meet. And then exhale it out, tap the toes down to the mat. Take 4 more, nice and slow. Staying open through the chest. And I'm on my last one, but you can move at your own pace. And once you finish that 5th side crunch, send your right arm up and overhead. Feel the opening through the chest. And then bend through the elbow, send the heart up toward the sky, even if just a little bit. Gaze can go up toward the sky if it feels okay, or you can look down toward the mat to protect your neck. And then send that arm back up overhead and come back into your downward facing dog. Take a round of cat-cow. Inhale to drop the belly, lift the gaze. Exhale to round the spine, drop the crown of the head. Come back to neutral. We're staying on the right side here. So once again, send that right leg, same leg, all the way back. And then sweep it in between the hands, finding yourself in a low supported lunge. Allow yourself a couple of breaths here to just feel that gentle opening in the left hip. We haven't done too much hip work yet. One more breath here. And then plant the left palm as the right arm floats up to the sky. Maybe even twist a little bit more, sending that right arm a little bit back, feeling a twist in the back and feeling an opening through the chest. And then reframe that foot. Raise both hands up for just a round of breath. And then reframe the foot as you come back into tabletop pose. From here, directly send that left leg long behind you and plant it once again on the mat. So we're on the other side. And send the left arm up. And we'll find those 5 crunches here. So remember, you can kickstand your foot out behind you for a little bit more stability, but get open through the heart first, and then take those 5 slow and steady crunches, tapping the foot in between to get that stretch in the side body. When you're done, replant that foot. And then bend through the left elbow to shine the heart upward. And then send the gaze wherever it's comfortable. And then re-extend the left arm and sweep it down, coming in to your tabletop pose and taking one round of cat-cow. Inhale to drop the belly, lift the gaze. And exhale to round the spine, drop the head. Come back to neutral and send that left leg long, same leg, and step it through in between your hands. So find a moment, couple breaths here, opening up the right hip flexor. And then over the next breath or so, plant the right palm, left arm floats up to the sky. And you can even open up a little bit more, twisting to shine the heart a little more upward. And then bring it back to reframe the front foot and bring both arms up and overhead for your supported lunge. Reframe that front foot and just step it back into tabletop pose. We'll stay in tabletop for a few more movements here. So once again, send that right leg long behind you. So we'll move back to the first side. And then take a round of cat-cow with that extended right leg. So drop the belly, lift the gaze. Round the spine, drop the crown of the head. Just a little bit of a different movement there. And then send that right foot long behind you. Once again, planting the foot and raise the right arm up and overhead. Cactus the elbow, opening the heart up toward the sky. And then re-extend the arm and begin to bend through the right knee and coming into this sort of half wild thing pose. So the right toes are on the ground behind you and the left knee is still bent on the mat. Heart is shining up toward the sky. And then come back down into tabletop pose. We'll do the same thing on the left side. Extend the left leg long behind you. Take one round of cat-cow here. Inhale to drop the belly, lift the gaze. Exhale to round the spine, drop the crown of the head. Then come back to neutral. Plant the left foot on the mat. Left arm comes up and overhead. Cactus the elbow, shining that heart forward. And then re-extend the left arm. Begin to bend the left knee as you plant it behind you, coming into a supported wild thing. So press the heart forward, press the hips forward, left toes, you're on your tippy toes, and the right knee is supporting this pose. And then unwind, coming back into a tabletop pose. And then bring the toes together, knees nice and wide. Find child's pose. We'll be here for 5 rounds of breath. So keep this an active child's pose by pressing into the palms, keeping the elbows off the mat, and just allowing the heart to melt down toward the mat. As you breathe in, feel both the front and back of the body. We'll take another breath here. Notice the expansion through the heart across the shoulder blades. And then press into the palms, come back through tabletop. And then tuck the toes, hover the knees, send the belly all the way back toward the thighs, and then release into your downward facing dog. Try to resist the movement here and just find some stillness for a couple of breaths. And then if you'd like to pedal it out or readjust, you can find some movement. And then find your way to the top of the mat. Step, hop, or jump, forward fold. Bend your knees as much as you need to connect the fingertips to the mat. And then inhale, halfway lift, fingertips come to top of shins. Exhale to fold forward. Sweep the arms out, up and overhead. Shine the heart upward, finding just a mini back bend here. And exhale, hands come through heart center. Release the arms down by the side, mountain pose. So really draw the shoulder blades together. Feet are hips width distance apart. Rooting down into the ground. And just notice this static strength here. On your next inhale, sweep the arms up and overhead and sink down into your chair pose. Tuck the tailbone under a little bit so the tailbone is facing down toward the mat rather than scooping out toward the back. And bring the hands to heart center as you twist over toward the left, twisted chair pose. Keep that top shoulder rolled back. And then from here, root down into your left foot as you begin to send the right foot to the back of the mat, finding twisted lunge. Woo. So maybe you fall out like I did, that's okay. Just bring our hands back together. Find that twisted lunge. And then unwind, bring the arms up and overhead for high lunge. Right toes are tucked. And then cactus through the elbows, once again, opening up the heart. Bring the arms back up overhead. Frame that left foot, plant the right palm. Left arm floats up to the sky. Frame the front foot. And this time bring the right foot forward to meet the left, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Sweep the arms out, up, and overhead. And exhale, hands through heart center. Release the arms down by the side, finding mountain pose again. Roll the shoulders back. And then inhale the arms up and overhead, sitting back into your chair pose. So alignment here, tucking that tailbone under. And then bring the hands to heart center and twist over toward the right this time. Maybe you hook the left elbow outside of the right knee. Root down into the right foot and send the left foot all the way to the back of your mat, staying in that twisted lunge. And then unwind, bring the arms up and overhead. Cactus through the elbows, shine the heart forward. Arms come back up overhead. Frame that right foot this time, plant the left palm, right arm floats up to the sky. Exhale to release. And then step it back into your downward facing dog, taking any movement that your body is calling for. And then float forward into plank pose here. Get nice and strong. Making sure that you're pressing into the palms to stay open across the shoulder blades rather than sinking down. And then lower down your knees. Find your cow back. And then lower down chest and chin. Slither forward into baby cobra. Untuck the toes, shine the heart forward. Exhale to release. One more time, inhale up to baby cobra. And exhale to release. Bring the forearms on the mat. And rise up into Sphinx pose. So legs are nice and long, straight behind you. Press into the forearms to stay lifted out of the chest. We'll stay here for 5 rounds of breath. And then slowly lower back down. Hands come back to push-up height. We'll meet back in downward facing dog. Let's take some waving dogs here. So float forward into plank pose. Hover the knees, send the belly back toward the thighs, and then release the legs, release the tush toward the sky. Float forward into plank pose. Hover the knees as you press the belly back toward the thighs. Straighten the legs any amount. Take 3 more of these at your own pace. Forward to plank, hover the knees, belly back toward the thighs, and then release the legs. I'm gonna take 1 more. We'll meet back in downward facing dog. And then inhale the right leg back up behind you. Exhale to step it through in between the hands. Lower the left knee down, toes can be tucked or untucked, framing that right foot. And just spending a breath here, noticing if you're feeling any more open in that left hip, we'll continue to open it up. And then rise up, low supported lunge. Exhale to release. Tuck the left toes, knee comes up off the mat. Rise up, high lunge. Keep a nice bend in that right leg. And then exhale to release. Lower the left knee down, untuck the toes, and rise up, low supported lunge. Reframe the right foot, tuck the left toes, knee comes up off the mat, rise up, high lunge. We'll do that 1 more time. Lower to reframe, lower the left knee down, rise up, low supported lunge. And then reframe, tuck the toes, rise up, high lunge. Nice job. Reframe that foot, step it back, downward facing dog. Deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. 1 more time. And then inhale that left leg back up behind you. Exhale to step it through in between the hands. Lower the right knee, toes tucked or untucked. Just noticing here, take a breath. Just gonna take my shirt off, it's kind of warm. And then bring the arms up overhead to find that low supported lunge. Exhale to reframe. Tuck the right toes, knee comes up off the mat, rise up, high lunge. Lower to reframe, lower the right knee down, rise up. Reframe, tuck the back toes, knee comes up off the mat, high lunge. 1 more of each. Reframe the foot, lower the back knee, rise up. And then last one, high lunge, tuck the toes, rise up. Beautiful. And reframe. This time step the right foot forward to meet the left, finding that forward fold. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Sweep the arms out, up and overhead. And exhale, hands through heart center. Sweep the arms out and up. And then grab onto that right wrist with the left hand. Really pull up and out. Draw the shoulder blades together behind you. And then bend over toward the left. Gaze wherever it's comfortable. And then come back through center. Switch the clasp of the wrist. Reach up and out first. And then bend over to the side. Come back through center. Sweep the arms behind you. Find a clasp at your lower back. And then extend the arms nice and long. Try to keep the heel of the hand together. So you're finding just a gentle heart opener here through the chest as you draw the shoulder blades together. If you get a little bit more sensation, you can begin to look up and find a little bit more of a back bend. As long as you keep the chest lining up and open, and the arms nice and long. And then come back up. Release the clasp of the hands. And then sweep the arms up and overhead. And we'll do that one more time. This time find the opposite clasp of the fingers, tips behind you. So the thumb that feels a little funky to be on top. Once again, straighten the arms. Bring the heel of the hands together. And you can stay right here, drawing the shoulder blades together. Or you can find as mini or great of a back bend as you'd like to. And then gently come out. Release the grip of the fingers. Inhale the arms up and overhead. And exhale to forward fold. Come back into a tabletop position. And then inhale to drop the belly, lift the gaze. Exhale to round the spine, drop the crown of the head. Come back to center. And stay up on your knees, but just release your hands so you're sitting up. So if your knees are at all sensitive, you can roll your mat, or if you have a blanket nearby, you can use that too. So first, make sure that the hips are level. And just press forward a little bit by tucking the tailbone down toward the mat. And then you'll draw the arms up and overhead. Make sure to relax the shoulders a little bit so they're not hugged up toward the ears, but they're really relaxed down. Chest is nice and open. And then twist toward the left as you drop that hand. Maybe it touches the left heel. Maybe it touches over to the right heel. Maybe it's up here. So it doesn't really matter. We're gonna tap back on each side. Then use the front of the body's strength. Bring the left arm back up and overhead, and we'll move to the right side. So the right arm drops, maybe to a heel, maybe not. And then it sweeps back forward. So just gently moving from side to side. This really takes a lot of strength in the front side body, as well as in the lower back, to stay nice and lifted. So just moving gently from side to side. Noticing probably that each side of the body is a little different. You might be able to tap the opposite heel on one side and then not even tap a heel on the other, and that's okay. We're just always exploring the physicality of our body without too much judgment. So finish the round you're on, and then take one more tap to each side. I'm going to take one more tap with my left hand and one more tap with my right hand. And then rise back up. I'm going to unfurl my mat back out. Arms are up and overhead. And then just plant the palms back in front of you, coming into your tabletop pose. Give it a little rock of the hips from side to side. And then we'll find a twist here. So inhale the right arm up and out to the side. And find to thread the needle by threading the right arm underneath the left. The right cheek and temple can find the mat. And then you can find whatever arm placement you like for that left arm. Allow yourself to settle in here. And then notice here the opening along the back side of the heart. And maybe a little compression along the front side of the heart. And see if you can twist a little more to the left to allow a little bit more opening in both the front and the back side of the body. Using these heart openers to invite in opportunity and love, and anything else that your heart desires. If you walked your left hand out, bring it back in, and then gently unwind that right arm, opening it back up out to the right, and coming back to center to your tabletop pose. As we begin to float the left arm out to the side, and then thread it underneath the right arm, landing the cheek and the temple on the mat, or on a prop if you have one handy. And finding the right placement for your right arm, either keeping it where it is, walking it out, or maybe even finding a half bind. It can feel nice to grab onto the top of your mat or the outer edge of your mat just to stay a little bit more open and lifted, but do what works for you. And then once again, just notice the sensations. If there's any place where you're opening up and there's any place where you're feeling it all constricted, and see if you can create some more space in the place where you're feeling closed. Take one more deep breath here. And then walk that right hand back to your tabletop. Unwind the left arm out to the side and come back, both palms on the mat, tabletop pose. Tuck the toes behind you, release your body back into downward facing dog. And then float forward into plank pose, readjusting however you need. And then lower down the knees, chest and chin, and scooping forward into baby cobra. Exhale, release. Rise back up into baby cobra and release. One more time, rise up into baby cobra. And then from here, you can begin to walk your fingertips out until your forearms find the mat, coming into Sphinx pose once again. So just make sure that the legs are nice and straight behind you. Press into the forearms, gaze toward the center top of your mat. And then slowly lower the forehead back down. Plant the palms, tuck the toes. We'll meet back in downward facing dog. And inhale the right leg back behind you. Bend the knee to open the hip. You can either stay in stillness or take any movement here that feels good. Try to drop that left heel down toward the mat. And then re-extend the right leg. Bring the knee in toward the nose, rounding through the spine. Re-extend behind you, three-legged dog. Round in, knee comes toward nose. Re-extend behind you. And then last time, knee toward the nose. And step the right foot through. Once again, rising up into your high lunge. Sweep the arms open, drop the back heel, warrior two. Back foot is at 90 degrees. Front foot faces the top of the mat. So readjust, open those hips, make sure the body is nice and centered over the hips, and then reverse your warrior here. Left hand drops, the right arm comes up and overhead, and then cactus the right arm just to stay more open through the chest. And then straighten the right arm, rise back up into warrior two. And then bend the right arm, left arm comes up and overhead. side angle. This time, bend through the left arm, staying open through the chest, and then release it up and overhead. And rise back up through warrior two. We'll do those moves one more time. So reverse your warrior, stay nice and bent through that front knee, and then bend through the right elbow to open the chest. Re-extend the right arm. Open back up into warrior two, and then find your side angle. And if you want to release the right arm as well, you can do that. And then bend through the left elbow, opening up. And straighten through the left arm. Rise back up into warrior two, and straighten the right leg. So you might want to walk your feet in a little as we get set up for triangle pose here. And then really begin to hinge at the hips, sending the right fingertips forward, 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 until you can't go forward anymore and you open up into triangle pose. So maybe your right arm comes down to your calf or ankle, or maybe you have a block handy, but don't sink in, really try to stay lifted. Gaze where it's comfortable. And then gently rise back up. Come back into your high lunge. So tuck the left toes, right knee bends, and then frame that right foot as you step it back, downward facing dog. Inhale the left leg back behind you and bend the knee to open the hip up, dropping that right heel down toward the mat. Take some movement or stillness, always an option. And then extend the left leg long behind you. Knee comes in toward nose, round through the spine, and re-extend three-legged dog. Knee toward the nose, and re-extend. Last time, knee toward the nose, really round through the spine, and then step that leg through, rising up into your high lunge. Holding here for just a moment, and then sweeping open into warrior two. Left toes face the top of the mat, and right toes face toward the long side of the mat. Readjust so that your hips are pointed toward the side, and you're centered over your body. I'll do the other side. And then reverse your warrior here. Bend through the top arm, opening the chest. Come back through warrior two. Bend through that front leg, and then find your side angle. Bend through the top arm, opening up. Re-extend that top arm. Come back through warrior two. One more each time. Reverse your warrior. And bend through the top arm. Re-extend the top arm. Come back through warrior two. And side angle, either forearm on the thigh, or you can release the hand down, bending through the top arm. Re-extend the top arm. Rise back up into warrior two and straighten your front leg. Maybe shorten your stance a little. And then send the left fingertips forward, 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 hinging at the hips until you can't go forward anymore. And then release into your triangle pose. Roll that top shoulder back. Staying nice and open. And then rise back up. Tuck the back toes, sweep the arms forward, high lunge. Reframe that foot and step it back, downward facing dog. And then step, hop, or float your way to the top of the mat. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Sweep the arms out, up and overhead, and exhale, hands through heart center. Inhale the arms out and up, and exhale to hinge at the hips as you fold forward, plant the hands, stepping back into your plank pose. Hold here. Get nice and open by pressing in through the palms, and then lower down through your vinyasa. We'll meet back in child's pose. Always free to skip a vinyasa. So bring the toes together, knees nice and wide. Keep the elbows off the mat to stay active and open. And over the next breath, press into the palms, tuck the toes, downward facing dog. Drop the knees down toward the mat, tabletop pose. You can untuck the toes here and send that right foot long behind you like we did at the beginning of class, flexing through the foot. Plant the right foot down and float that right arm up so you're in the supported side plank. Just holding here for a moment. And then releasing back down. Coming back to tabletop, tuck the toes, and then release back into downward facing dog. So we'll stay on the same side. Inhale the right leg back up behind you, so three-legged dog. Bend through the right knee. And then maybe if it's calling to you, you can stay right here, or you can flip your dog. So the right toes come toward the mat. Butt stays nice and lifted. Right arm is up and overhead to shine that heart forward. Maybe even bringing your hand to your heart. And then over the next breath or so, unwind, releasing back into three-legged dog. And then release back that right foot so that you're in downward facing dog. Take a deep breath here. And then lower down into tabletop. Untuck the toes and release the left leg long behind you, flexing through the toes. Then release the left sole of the foot down to the mat, left arm out to the side, supported side angle, or supported side plank. And then unwind. Coming back through tabletop, tuck the toes, release back into downward facing dog. Then release the left foot back behind you for three-legged dog. Bend through the knee to open the hip and stay right here, or maybe flip your dog. Bring your hands to your heart. Take a couple more breaths, really feeling the opening wherever you are. And then slowly unwind, meeting back in downward facing dog. And then step, hop, or float your way to the top of the mat. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhale to forward fold, sweep the arms out, up and overhead. And exhale the hands through heart center, release the arms down by the side. So come to face the long side of your mat. And just take a nice wide stance here. So it's whatever feels comfortable for a wide, solid stance. And then just put a little mini bend in the knees to make it even more solid and comfortable. Sweep the arms out by the side and then wrap them around you. See how far you can get your hands behind you. And just give yourself a nice big hug here. So really wrap yourself like you would wrap someone that you love so much. Hopefully that includes you. And then close your eyes. So the same dopamine hit that we get when we hug another person, we can recreate by genuinely hugging ourselves. Feel into your heart. Maybe even say, I love you to yourself. And over the next breath, bring your arms back out to the sides, open up the eyes. And we'll take another big hug, just with the opposite arm on the top. Hugging in, close the eyes. And maybe even say to yourself or in your head a couple of beautiful things about yourself. Whether it's physical or your wonderful characteristics or something nice that you've done for someone. One more deep breath here. Really breathe into the heart. Exhale it out as you unwind the arms, open the eyes, bring the arms back out to the side. And just walk the feet back together and come to face the top of your mat. Sweep the arms up and overhead. One last gaze up as we stand. And then hinge at the hips to fold forward. Step it back into plank pose. Last optional vinyasa here. And we'll meet back in downward facing dog. And then once again, step hop or float your way to the top of the mat. This time just bend your knees until you come all the way on your seat. And if you have that belt or strap or scarf handy, get that now and lower yourself onto your back. So if you don't have a prop handy, not a big deal. The first thing we want to do is make sure both of our knees are bent at hips width distance and just feel the natural curvature in your spine. So we did a lot of back bends today, a lot of heart openers. So just feel how your spine feels naturally. You probably have a little curve in the lower back. And then if you have that prop, wrap it around the left sole of the foot and release the sole of the foot toward the sky. If you don't have a prop, you can wrap your hands around the back of your thigh. Wherever you are, really flex through the toes here. Feel the stretch in the back of the leg and allow the shoulders to drop toward the mat. So likely that lower back has flattened out a little bit just by this gentle move. And then take the strap in the left hand and open the leg up out to the side, any amount. Keep that right knee facing up toward the ceiling. Flex through the left toes. And then with control, draw the left leg back up to the sky, flexing through the toes. You can take hold of the strap again. We'll stay here for just a couple more rounds of breath to really realign the body, release the back. And then bend the left knee, bring the sole of the foot to the mat, and we'll move to the other side. So wrap the strap around the right sole of the foot, flexing through the toes. And again, if you don't have that strap, you can just clasp the back of your thigh. Allow the shoulders to be heavy on the mat. And notice the flattening of the sacrum of the lower back. Take both straps into the right hand and begin to open the leg up out to the right. With control, bring that leg back up to center. We'll again spend just a couple of breaths in this pose with the right sole of the foot facing the ceiling. And then you can bend through that knee, release the strap or prop out to the side, both soles of the feet back on the mat. Once again, just noticing the spine. And then sweep the arms out to a T or in a cactus pose and drop both knees over toward the left, gaze over toward the right. If you want a little bit more sensation, you can hook the left foot on top of the left thigh, which will give you a little bit more back release and stretch in the thigh. And then if you've crossed that foot or hooked that foot, unhook it. Bring both knees back to center and drop both knees over toward the right, gaze over toward the left. Once again, you can hook the right foot on top of the left thigh or not. If you've hooked the foot, unhook it. Both knees back to center. And then draw both knees into the chest. Now's the time to take any final shape or pose that your body is calling for. I'm going to take a few knee circles here just to massage the sacrum and the lower back. And then when you're ready, release the feet long toward the bottom of the mat. Take up space with your arms and close your eyes. We'll be here for just a minute or so. So allow yourself this full release. And your next inhale, send the breath all the way down to the belly, through the heart. Fill up in every direction, and then gently exhale it all out. Bring the arms up and overhead, send the toes long toward the bottom of the mat. Take a nice big stretch here. Eventually rolling to one side, and we'll meet in seated whenever you're ready. Bring your hands to heart center. And bring your thumbs to touch your chest, maybe even tapping into your heartbeat, knowing that when you open yourself up in every direction to the universe, that opportunities will begin to flow your way. So I send my love to you. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with me this morning. Namaste.